Hey Adam, how are you?
Doing great, Ira, yourself?
I'm doing well. Just curious, was there any contractual sort of factors that played into who you took and maybe who you didn't take with all the machinations going on with two-way contracts and guarantee and things like that? How much did money play into that at all, if at all?
No, none at all.
And then the second thing, we saw already a couple of players lining up for you. Zion Pullen just coming out also. Can you take us through that process of, we know a team is limited to three two-way players. They can be subbed out and changed. Oftentimes you've said you prefer to wait. Why the immediate move for those players? And maybe just some thoughts on either of those two players, Kashad and Zion, if you could.
Yeah, conversations with their agents over the last month, mutual interest from both sides. Two players that we were surprised didn't get drafted. And, with the addition of the third two-way, we thought it was important to be able to get those guys here, and using the two-way would be the way to do it. If we thought if we don't use the two-way tonight, there's a chance they go somewhere else. So we had to offer it.
And there was some really good talent available in what people said wasn't a deep draft, but it seemed that way. When you made your second round selection, can you tell us why you went in that direction? What were the factors that swayed you there? And how, I don't want to say numerically, but how high had you had him on your board-ish?
Yeah, Pele is a player we've been watching for years. We've done a lot of work with Coach Lloyd out in Arizona, both for him and Keshad. Actually, we were very high on both of those guys, and I think Larson, I think what he shows us is a well-rounded, versatile player with 38-inch vertical, big hands, has a little bit of an edge to him, and we thought. We thought he'd fit in here with his versatility, obviously, his ability to shoot, and a defensive mindset. So for us, it was obviously we had him as the top player on our board when we went to pick, and it so happened that we had an opportunity to swap one spot. And for us, we got the same player we would have had at 43 to pick 44, and we made that decision to pick him at 44.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Ed.
Right, up next, we're going to go with Wes Goldberg, Locked On Heat. Go ahead.
Hi, Adam. I just wanted to, ask about the initial expectations for Pele and I guess with Keshad and Zion, that's probably more of the two-way guys. But when you take a guy in the second round, like what are some of the expectations you have for him, maybe as a rookie? Thank you.
Yeah, just coming in here, meeting us in San Francisco next week. Getting familiar with what we do here, getting our coaches familiar with them. Obviously, our, Coach Bo watches film with us, but they haven't spent a lot of time. They've watched some film, watched pre-draft workouts. So for us, it's just getting familiar with them and them getting familiar with us. We feel like all the players we bring in have a competitiveness to them. Especially the players that aren't drafted, they have a choice to go where they want to go, and lots of teams competing with us for these guys. And like we said, we're not for everybody. And so the players that choose us know what the expectations are. And I think they also understand how much time we spend in our development program trying to make them reach their highest potential. So I think it's a matter of coming in this summer and really putting in the time to get better and prepare for training camp.
All right, up next, we're going to go with Anthony Chiang, Miami Hero. Go ahead.
Hey, Adam, how are you?
Doing great, thanks.
Obviously Pele three-point shooting stands out the most, but what you kind of mentioned the all-around game, but what other parts of his game kind of intrigued you guys?
Yeah, just the way he moves, real gets around the court easily. That's important to have that type of skill set where he can shoot, handle. He'll rebound. He'll come up with a deflection. He'll steals. I think he's like I said earlier, versatile player that really moves well. Has some quick twitch, some good elevation pop to his game. So it's just a matter of developing his base of a skill set. And I think he'll be able to fit in lots of different roles.
Right up next, we're going to go with Bruce Pasco, Arizona Daily Star. Go ahead.
Sorry, Adam. Thank you. I was wondering, you mentioned you'd been following Pella for years. I didn't know if that was the case with Keshad. He's kind of seemed like a, kind of a late bloomer. Wasn't much out of high school, wasn't highly rated anyway, and then playing a role last year at San Diego State, and then of course more so this year. When did he catch your eye, and how? I guess.
Yeah, certainly at San Diego State, tracked him, saw this player that had a lot of physical ability, obviously really strong, quick twitch, athletic player with a little bit of an edge to him. Goes to Arizona, so he transfers up to the Pac-12, and it shows more, gets more out of his game there, which we always like to see. And just spending time with him, hearing about his background, and I feel like, we felt like kid has a good head on his shoulders, really driven to work. And like I said earlier, so we tracked him for years. We've seen him this year in the Pac-12, got to spend some time with him after the season in the pre-draft. And again, mutual interest to come here. And so I think getting to see him up close and learning about him in his journey and his path to where he was now, it seemed that he was going to be someone that we would have a high level of interest, and we had him high on our board when he wasn't drafted, and he was our highest non-drafted player on our board.
If he meets his potential that you see, what do you see in his game that maybe fits with what you do? I mean, he was kind of known as like a glue, garbage, whatever you want to call it, little things guy, maybe not your highlight score or whatever, but do you see him kind of like that as an NBA player, or are there certain things that you see that can really, excel in the years ahead?
Yeah. Just I mentioned yesterday with Khalil and both these, these guys that we bring in, the versatility. I think that's such an important part of today's game, having the depth to have players that can be plugged in different places. And Keshad, I think, has ability to be put in different roles as a defender, both forward spots. Obviously, as a lob threat. Defensively, he moves around. His lateral quickness is really good. So again, I think the word I've used is versatility. I think he fits that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right up next, we're going with Cooper Moorhead, Heat.com. Go ahead.
Yeah. Two things on Pella. One, how do you think his shooting ability fits into the shooting development program established here, especially as it relates to how Spo likes to use guys in movement, off screens, handoffs? How can he shoot in that type of shooting role eventually? And then two, he had a pretty high assist rate for a guy without much usage, relatively speaking. So I was curious as to what you guys saw as far as his passing on tape.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that squad of the Wildcats, a lot of talent there. So it's not going to be where he was the leading scorer. He played a role, and he played it well. Different things that he does, rebounds. I think he can, shoot off movement. He can shoot off the catch. I think we've the history of players that have come through here that have that ability, and I think we know his work ethic. Coach Lloyd spoke real highly of him, of both of them. He couldn't believe we got both of them tonight. He was really excited for us and for them as well. But certainly movement. He'll be able to have that gravity of being scouted and defenses having to prepare for him and he's got a quick release. I think we saw it in our workout ability to do rapid shooting as well as spot shooting. I think he'll be able to fit in both aspects.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, we're going to go back to Bruce for one more. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just following up on what you said about. I'm from Arizona. I was following up with what you said about Coach Lloyd, and you said you'd done a lot of work with him. I didn't know if you guys were out here. I know some NBA teams do go to practices or work with players, or was it just a matter of talking with Tommy as well, or kind of what was that relationship and how did that help you guys?
That relationship with Tommy goes way back. I've spent time with him in Europe. We've been to his practices before he got to Arizona, and obviously there. I did not attend a practice this year. Keith Askins, Eric Amsler did a lot of work. Tommy's a great friend of our program, so we've spent time with him, and certainly calls, and then in multiple calls. I think we make our intel calls, and it's important to have those relationships. I don't think Tommy was just trying to sell them, and he told us all about them, their strengths, things that they need to work on. But through it all, they were both. He felt like both of those kids were the type of Heat players that we'd want to bring in here and develop. So I thought that was a great endorsement.